This channel is meant for mature adults over the age of 21. And let me know if you have a topic that you want to discuss. So, some of my friends and people, and yes, I have a few fans, not many. I mean, whatever. I mean, if even just one is fine. Right, let me change this light around here. I have to do that live because it doesn't really show up well. But I'm Dr. Lueth, and this is Creasesinger Radio, which always has a musical component to it. Let me see. All right, I don't know. Now I got blind spots in my face, so it might be a little too dark. Like I said, I had to restart almost from scratch, almost. And it sucks. But today is the 19th of May, 2025. It is 1:03 p.m. Eastern New York time, USA. And I decided to jump on here because I got some emails, I got some input, and I've been looking around at some things that celebrities and more well-known people in the public eye. Listen, I'm going to say this, okay? And I'm not doing it to make somebody feel bad. And I'm not doing it, but there's a perspective that, look, sunrise, in my face. My taste in music is your face. Yeah, that's a line from 21 Pilots. Boy, those guys are next level. And say what you want about Youngblood, you know what I'm saying? He's young still. Got some wild side in him, but he's a very talented individual. Okay, I mean that's pretty obvious. Yes, Youngblood makes music. He's a Brit. So I don't necessarily tout the virtues of just every kind of music, but I don't really believe in genres. Okay, I there I don't like people need to stop assuming things. It's just true. Uh, but what I'm saying is, like, I know a few people. I actually dated somebody who was relatively famous in his circle, and in a certain sense, still is. He was younger than me, and you know, definitely a multi-millionaire. But people think that money is the end all and be all of everything, and I didn't agree with that in the slightest at all. Okay, um, too many people chasing it, and then you find out that life is not so great. I mean, we had to hide our relationship, and that caused issues for me. But that's just how it was. Anyway, yeah, I dumped him politely and kindly, not over a text or anything like that, like some people do these days. What the hell? Yeah, people do that nowadays. I'm just like, what the hell? Anyway, but the reason was because just because you have money, it doesn't make you a good person. Just because you have celebrity, it doesn't make you a good person. Just because right, or special or any of that kind of thing, it doesn't. And he can keep his dick in his pants. Okay, it happens. That's wasn't anything I was interested interested in supporting. All right, and I forgave him once, but then other stuff, and it also got a little tiring. We'd have to go to places that were like out of the way from regular large public areas, and occasionally someone would recognize him. It gets difficult when you're talking about buying a house with the person that you're with, and somebody comes and shoves their boobs right in his face, and then he like forgets that I exist. I get it, they're boobs, all right, but it's just that just too much of that happened, and that was a while ago. Nobody needs no boob. He's not really having a good life these days. I gotta be honest with you. I mean, I wouldn't want that for somebody, but it's just the case. Like, there are people, and they kind of get bit by the money bug, and it either goes to their head or it just makes them stupid for a little while. And so I don't put rich and famous people on a pedestal, or celebrities, or stuff like that. Okay, I just for a lot of different reasons, I don't. They're human beings. I've been around a few myself, and they're human beings like everybody else. And when they fart, it smells, and they take shits and everything else. Okay, people need to understand certain realities, and I mean, it's kind of spun in their direction for a lot of good reasons. You have good PR and every other kind of thing. But I am at the point where, as much as I love ice hockey, and especially try very hard to keep track of the goalies as they come and go, I check in with them. They don't know most of the time. See what they're doing, and other people, and I listen. I try and keep up with what's going on in ice hockey here and there. I catch up quickly because I have a good base knowledge, which took me a good 15 years to get to, of listening to hockey games and trying to talk about hockey games and thinking about ice hockey and all these other kind of things. But there was someone I saw today, and people say that these stories inspired you when it comes to celebrities. And what I gotta be honest with you. It's the everyday person who should inspire people. Because the everyday person doesn't have an entourage. The everyday person doesn't have, entrance music or outro music. The everyday person doesn't have, people kissing their ass and supporting them, and people coming up around them and praying for them. So I don't care if you started out poor. And I'm sure some of you can put through your paces. I'm not trying to take away from what's been happening, but everyday, regular people should be the ones who inspire people, not people who have agents and family and people sucking up to them and people, praying for them and, all these fans and all these supporters. Okay? It, it shouldn't, that should not be where you look for inspiration in life. Even if they've been through something terrible. I mean, I'm not going to give Michael J. Fox a hard time. I have a Parkinsonism, which is bad enough. And yes, well, it is less predictable than the stages of Parkinson's. So I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm suffering more. I'm simply telling the straight truth. Right? People with my kind of neurological situation, and I'm neurodivergent and all these other kind of things. You know, we don't know what to expect. And at least the research for Parkinson's at this point on Earth generally, there is sort of like a step by step, there is sort of like a stage discussion sort of thing. And people know more and more about what's going to happen during each stage, and they know what to expect and they know what to prepare for. So, in a sense, those who have Parkinsonism like I have, who knows? We could be okay for a little while. Certain medication could work, but we need to take a different kind of medication. And there isn't really good evidence of what medication is really a no-no and what medication is really okay. So we had to find out the surprise hard way. Um, I'm also adjusting the light because I'm starting to keep the window closed and backed out and back up. So I'm not going to be relying on natural light like I was in my previous location. I promise I'll get to some dancing. We'll have some fun. I gotta get some things taken care of. But I can't not say that celebrities and people like that always have extra support. And they have people all around them to try and help them and keep them going. And so I don't look to celebrities or famous people for inspiration. Okay, I mean, I know some have really gone through some tough times. It's not that. It's just that too many people in your everyday life, like you're ignoring your everyday life. And you're not really. A lot of them aren't that inspiring. And then some you find out were not telling the truth later. Because I'm not putting on everybody, but I'm not going to put them on a pedestal. And I don't look for inspiration from them. Okay? I don't. I mean, it doesn't really make sense. Some are led to believe that they're helping people, and the actual end of the day facts indicate, proven, which can be shown in a variety of different ways, that they're actually causing harm rather than helping. Okay? I mean, I've known some people who used to go to concerts, and I'd run across them every so often because we'd get together and try and, put our resources together to go to concert on the weekend. And that was when I worked, so I could afford it. Um, who had become obsessed and lost sight of a lot of things, and who completely ignored the fact that I was struggling with serious health issue, and instead spent a lot of money and a lot of time a certain individual from a certain band, and it was highly unhealthy, wrong. And I'm not trying to take away from work that certain people have done. I'm not. There are people who make it to the public eye, get through all kinds of stuff that is not so great. However, people need to stop putting them on pedestals. Okay? Be more introspective on purpose. I mean, I appreciate work that a lot of people have done, but I can't state it enough. Some of you you're hurting in a variety of ways, emotionally, because you have people doing your hair and makeup every single day. The average citizen does not. You have people who you work to get you a ride, and you call and get you the proper hospital treatment, and you don't have to wait in the kind of lines that other people do to get an organ donation, or a good room at a hospital, or be seen by a good specialist. Okay, you don't represent the average everyday person. None of you would. And some of you try to, and it's not working, and I'm trying to tell you to stop trying to do that. Okay, I mean, I know it's like you get ignored for a long period of time. I've got somebody I've been talking to who is trying to tell me that, my YouTube is something wrong and I need service. And I'm just like, I have to self promote. And this is a labor of love. And some of this, some people aren't ready to hear yet. And okay, I limit people. I state every single time it is written in the description. I say it every single time. I write it every single time. This channel is not meant for adults under the age of 21. And I expect mature adults. And there's some people who have, told me recently that they appreciate it. And I mean, even if I'm just helping one person or just talking to one person this entire time, they use this also as diary and to, talk about symptoms and to let people know that, I'm not giving suck up to rich people. I don't really know how to ask this. I'm not a yes man. I mean, if it really is yes, I'm like, oh, yes. But I'm not that kind of person. I can't be manipulated that way, and so I get to hate on me because I'm different. And I'm not like in the majority, and I don't care. I've never really cared. And after a while, people just, they don't like me because they can't manipulate me that way. Or they get caught manipulating. And, I've known some people, done some things around me that were felony quality things, and I don't want that around me. So I walk away. And when I walk away, I'll walk away for you. All right? All these airbrush things and all these, people who show up perfect everywhere they go because they're people, oh, if you put out bad pictures of them, who knows? You might even get mafia style whacked. I don't really know, and I don't want to know, but you're hurting people. Most people have to buy off the rack. Most people, especially in the US, can't afford your concert tickets. And yet, they end up spending a shitload of money to support your careers, either in music or in the entertainment industry, movies, TV. A lot of people cannot afford you, and they rack up a lot of debt. It's just the truth. Can be proven. There are people whose concerts are upward of 500,000. Happy tickets, pro tickets, tickets to the Olympiad. A lot of you are the responsible. Sadly, I know you don't want to hear it. I know you don't want to think about it, but sadly, a lot of you in the entertainment industry are the reason that some people go totally broke. And you're poor. And they're racking up debt because they don't want to miss out. And they don't want to be a part of it. And they blah, 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 blah. You gotta sit down and consider these things. I know a lot of them try to give back and they try to, So, like I said, I'm not saying this to make people feel guilty. I'm not saying this to, negate the hard times that people have gone through. But when you're constantly pushing only celebrities, okay, the common everyday person who does not have a staff helping them, who does not have, a large family, who does not have somebody doing their makeup and choosing their outfits, and who, what they do for a living is primping and preening to get ready for a 2 hour gala or whatever the fuck. But musicians, children, have a lot of children have been damaged physically at general admission ruptures. A lot. A higher percentage than you might find here. Some of those places are not the right place for younger people to go. Unfortunately, parents don't always make the right decision. Also, there are tons of people who will spend a lot of money to follow some of you around on tour, and it puts them in such debt that they either have to file bankruptcy or they have to go through this whole program where they can't understand. I know that touring and concerts is where you make the money, but there are a few things you can do. You know, there are a few things, but it's just true. These things are just true, and people, especially in the music industry, I'm just being honest. Some of you are responsible for the fact that there are people who get multiple credit cards in order to have the latest and greatest of what you have, the latest and greatest to support you, the latest and greatest to go to a concert, the latest and greatest to get special things like that. I I cannot stress it enough. And I don't look to celebrities for inspiration because you just aren't a regular, average, everyday American. And you have people support you, drive you, take you, plan for you, do your hair, do your makeup, do your wardrobe. Hundreds of thousands of people in the United States of America have gone poor. So there's some people who need to think about that. And there's some artists and bands who need to think about the fact that way more than you really want to know about kids get harmed at live shows, especially standing room festivals. There are people who just can't go to them because it is not at all conducive. Some of you probably you're shielded by your A&R people. You're shielded by your managers. You're shielded from some of this, but children have actually died more than you want to know at live concerts. They get whacked around, they get shaken. I was at a live concert where someone left their newborn baby. Okay, this was at a Metallica show. Left their newborn, took a newborn to Metallica and left their newborn baby in one of the bathrooms. I'm not giving Metallica a hard time. I can't blame Metallica, but I am trying to tell you. Better PSA. Better understanding of the harm that you do when you look fucking beautiful all the goddamn time. No one can reach that. Not even you guys. And none of you are gods to me. Not a single one. I have to get this out. And there are going to be some people in the music industry who see it. I have a couple friends who are touring with bands right now. with their bands, and they were really having a hard time because of COVID. So I'm happy for them because they're out of that funk and they're doing what they do, and some of them check in with me every so often. But you know what I need to help me to get me through, I can't do anymore. I'm seeing people who are on welfare getting pedicures and paying hundreds of dollars for new hairdos. Okay, well, that's not okay. Anybody who tries to approach me to get me more subscribers on YouTube, well, I mean, it has to be done volunteer or somebody needs to donate. And I've had a lot of things stolen from me and I want them back. Except for one song I wrote, which somebody fucked up so bad, I refused to even acknowledge I had anything to do with it. And it sucked. I mean, it got on mainstream radio, but it sucked. Fucked it up beyond all reckoning, and yeah, any money they did make off of it, they can fucking keep. Intellectual property is being ripped off on a daily basis by AI. Quit smiling, everybody, like it's so good and wonderful, because it's not. I think some of you still eating from the wrong fucking tree. If I start with something like a band, okay, with Duran Duran, I'll just be a Duran Duran fan until either I go or they go. Same thing with Chevelle, same thing with Metallica, same thing with Bare Naked Lady, same thing with Guthrie, same thing with these guys, and those guys. Same thing with certain actors. Same thing with certain ice hockey people. I do so much in such a short amount of time that you're all, yeah, people, too many people getting frustrated with me, and oh, I'm holding you up. I'm like, nah, I lapped all of you, and I know what's going to happen, and I am trying my best. To do something that I don't even get paid for. And I've asked for volunteers, all especially from local yokels. Okay, some truth about Zach Bagans is coming out. Some truth is gonna start coming out and hitting the light. And I want you guys all to pay attention to some of this, because now you'll know how you got snookered, or how you got deeped, if you're an ice hockey fan, and how you got right manipulated incorrectly. With that fucking cat's fishing situation, or Captain Lass, or whatever the fuck his name is. I don't want that motherfucker in my goddamn country. Some of you who think that all Americans have shitloads of money, so it's okay to rip them off, you are so dead wrong. But I know some people who have tried to keep concert tickets to a reasonable level. So this may be not as big production. Maybe they don't take such a big profit. Some of you are hurting people, and I know that you don't want to know that. But it has to be said. So, anybody who wants to pick a topic, you can send it to me. I know that there are people who are in a different country, and they're probably getting ready to go to sleep right now. So I understand why some uh, of mine don't get live views. They get views after the fact. And then there's some who just aren't ready to hear what I have to say or give shit about me or care at all about anybody but yourself. I mean, if I was to compare my life with some of yours, you guys would look like people, sissy puss complaining assholes who have nothing, who have been through nothing hard in their life. I'm not taking hits for anybody anymore. I pulled my protection from a lot of people. You may not understand what that means right now, but some of you will. I'm a particularly loyal individual, and nope, I'm not going to harden my heart. I'm starting to get really ice freaking cold. That is not a good sign. So you can have your harm back, everybody. You can have your filth and foul back. You can have your, crap that you couldn't handle back. I don't want from my own life. I don't chase. And I have no idea what it's like to be taken care of properly. So I do not match myself against people who are much better taken care of. But I need the world of rock and roll. No, yep. You're going to get routed out. And if it comes down to it, names will be removed from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Mark my words, it will happen. Notice the date I'm saying it. You will start to believe me. Even if it takes another 20 years.